The next one is going to be a smaller group of muscles that is not going to be super apparent for most people, but really becomes visible when you raise your arm or when you become really muscular or if you're really lean. And this group is going to be called, this is not the right word for it, but it's going to be a few muscles that are part of the rotator cuff. So I just call it kind of like the back portion of the rotator cuffs. The rotator cuffs is essentially a group of muscles that are there to rotate your arm essentially. So there's going to be a part of the triceps. It's going to be some part in the front, some part in the back, so some of the back muscles, some of the front muscles. So it's not only those three, but those three are the ones that I'm going to call the back rotator cuffs. And it's going to be, as you see, three different parts. The one at the very top here is going to be called the infraspinatus. So it's a little bit of a hard word to say. You really don't need to remember it. All you need to remember is that this part here, the back portion of the rotator cuff, is going to be three different pieces, with the one on top being the biggest of them all. So this one here is essentially half the total surface of the back rotator cuffs. And then underneath you'll have the teres minor and the teres major on the bottom. And of course, those muscles here, they're only going to be partly visible, because we already know that there's going to be the deltoid that covers pretty much half of them by covering the entire portion here of the shoulder, and we'll have the trapezius covering also a small portion of the back rotator cuffs. And then as far as where they're attached onto, well, as you can see, they attach mainly onto the scapula directly, and then the other part, so the other extremity of each of those muscles, is going to attach directly on the humerus. So the infraspinatus is going to attach at the very top. It's going to be the one that attaches onto the ball of the humerus, and then you'll have the teres minor slightly below, and the teres major is going to attach on the other side of the humerus, kind of sliding under the triceps, but over the latissimus dorsi right here, that we are going to take a look at a little bit later. All right, now how to draw these three different muscles is going to be actually pretty simple, because they are only really seen from from the back view. The way to do this, like we've seen, is that there's three sections, and then the sections are going to be attached onto the scapula itself. So now that we have the scapula right here, well, we can start to trace kind of like the outside of the the back rotator cuff muscles. And the way that this is going to be split is, well, we start almost at the bottom here to do the infraspinatus one, and the way they attach, with the location they attach to, is really near the top of the humerus. So they're going to slide right under the deltoid. So they're going to land right about here, right? So if you have the humerus like this, actually I can hide the deltoid, and this one here is going to attach right onto the top here of the joint and slightly concave, so like that. I just need to leave enough space at the bottom to add the teres major and minor. So this one would attach right here onto the top of the humerus, on the ball of the humerus, and then the teres major and minor would be slightly visible right underneath that. So you'd have the teres major starting here from right next to the infraspinatus and going to attach in the front here of the humerus. So slightly lower, so something like this, and it would attach kind of like in the front here. And in the space between, the space that's left, so this is where the teres minor is going to attach, and again, it's going to attach right next to the infraspinatus at the top of the humerus. And this one here, the teres major, is going to be right behind. So now we can change the color and add color to this. So now if we show the deltoid again, there you go. So this is, this is how you draw it. It's a very simple muscle to draw. It's mostly flat, so it'll bubble again, like most muscles. So you have here the direction of the fiber, be something like this. And so in the center here, this area here is where it'll bulge out. This is where it'll really grow. And what those are, like the shape of these things in 3D, really is just like three flat cylinders right next to each other. Actually, these two are right next to each other, and the teres minor is kind of in the back, being sandwiched in between those two. So pretty simple shapes. Just again, just good old cylinders. All right, so in the next chapter, we'll take a look at the abdominal group. So I'll see you in a bit.